Hey everyone, it's Movie Lover 120 here, and I'm here with a brand new movie review. This is for the final movie to be released this October. There's another one of the coronavirus delays. And this coronavirus delay is for none other than Denis Villeneuve's newest film that was supposed to come out last October, but got bumped to this October, and that is none other than the newest adaptation of Dune, following David Lynch's controversial one from 1984. This is actually probably one of the very first Denis Villeneuve films to star an all-star cast of famous people like Rebecca Ferguson, Timothy Chalamet, I forget his last name, Oscar Isaac, Josh Brolin, Javier Bardem, Dave Bautista, Zendaya, and quite a few others. And for those of you that should know, I absolutely love Denis Villeneuve's work. He's done some very great films like Arrival and Blade Runner 2049, which was one of those rare, released way too late sequels that improves on its predecessor in every single way. And this film was just released, so this review is a little early because I went to the Thursday night preview of this movie last night. And I gotta say, what do I think of this movie? For someone who's never read the book or seen the 1984 David Lynch version, I really loved this movie. I thought it was really good. I think it's probably easily one of the best movies I've seen this year. It's just another great work from Denis Villeneuve. And here's exactly why, but first I'll explain the plot of it. A mythic and emotionally charged hero's journey, Dune tells the story of Paul Atreides, a brilliant and gifted young man born to a great destiny beyond his understanding. He must travel to the most dangerous planet in the universe to ensure the future of his family and his people. As malevolent forces explode into conflict over the planet's exclusive supply of the most precious resource in existence, a commodity capable of unlocking humanity's greatest potential, only those who can conquer their fear will survive. Dune? Yeah, so, in a way, since this is hopefully supposed to get a sequel, or a follow-up, because it's technically split into two parts, Dune Part 1, as they call it, was an amazing cinematic experience. This is a movie that demands to be seen on a big screen, no less. I haven't read a book nor seen a previous version of it, therefore all things that I saw story-wise were fresh for me. And I won't lie, I did feel to be lost here and there, but at the end of the day, the storyline was clear. The visual side of this movie was staggering. This is a 100% movie-going experience. Special effects looked as real as it gets. If you enjoyed the visual side of Blade Runner 2049, aka Denis Villeneuve's last movie, you will get the same here. Radio sets, design, sound, and all technical stuff. This movie at every scene looked very breathtaking. I wish cinematography was done by Roger Deakins, but it was solid. But it could have been even better. Acting was very good by all involved. You can't ask far more from such a cast of all-stars. Like we all know the 1984 David Lynch version and how fate was unkind to it, some will also be aware of the previous attempt by Alejandro Jodorowsky, as documented in the film Jodorowsky's Dune, where the concept art by H.R. Giger at least eventually gave us 1979's Alien. This particular Dune adaptation was ultimately lost. And now we have what's possibly the ultimate Dune film, and its director has been exclusively selected, having previously expanded on Ridley Scott's Blade Runner in a way that made the world feel larger without forgetting the themes and internal rules of what it set out to adapt. No certain other science fiction fantasy franchise that's been having some trouble with that is about, which was, of course, Star Wars. Granted, had Villeneuve truly been free from Sony's influence when he made Blade Runner 2049, we wouldn't have had Richard Deckard's involvement spoiled by the advertising. As for Dune, the world of its source material feels more awesome in size and intricate in detail than in the 1984 film, and Villeneuve's knack for imposing visuals and atmosphere resulting in that sense of interstellar, all that good science fiction ought to bring remains untarnished. He understands the sheer otherworldly potential of cinema better than many other blockbuster makers out there. And as for the story keeps on delivering, but considering what is known and what is not, if you are someone who is looking forward to enjoying the movie, its biggest strength is visuals that are spectacular and astonishingly beautiful, and casting that has brought some great performances that are not be laughed at like David Lynch's Dune. Apparently, well, for those who don't know, I have not seen David Lynch's Dune, but I've heard some not good things about it. Then again, I haven't read the books either. Saying all that and knowing backstory of everything, if you are unknown with the world Dune, you might suffer from information that may seem irrelevant for having no meaning. And as for the cast, I absolutely just love the cast members. I loved all the characters, like Paul, Timothy, I forget his last name, guys, it's hard to pronounce, was good as Paul. Rebecca Ferguson was good as Jessica. And Oscar Isaac, despite the not as much screen time to get, was very good as Paul's dad. And then Josh Brolin's character was also pretty good. And even Jason Momoa was pretty good. And even he had very little screen time, unfortunately. Yeah, and as for Zendaya's character, Shiny, well, she kind of only appears really in dream sequences. Paul kind of has throughout the movie and in the end of the movie. So yeah. Even she doesn't get really much screen time. But then again, this is kind of supposed to be a part 1 film, so it kind of just meant to set up the story in a way, so yeah. But now coming to the bad part of all this, the movie feels like 5 hours long, but being 2.5 hours in a bad way, it feels like trailer for epic space opera that could be 10 plus movies. Part 2 does need to happen, otherwise the movie is going to lose all meaning and senses, and people are just going to forget about this. Because a standalone, this movie would probably be forgotten in the nearby future because I've seen it all old Dune, still all in old Dune, but now you have visuals that are great. And now back to the good things. The score in this movie is amazing. It continues to provide with its stunning atmosphere, and it never stops on giving. Casting for some roles is miraculous, such as Harkonnens, as they really feel like they should. And finally, Sandworm just looks amazing. It feels amazing. It makes you want to run. This film, aka the creatures that hide in the sand. What works best in Dune is the flawless casting. Whoever has read the novel could hardly imagine different actors to portray the characters. Dune also succeeds in rendering the alienscape of the desert planet Arrakis, as well as the other planets that are even only hinted in the novel, without redundantly using the strong saturated colors of Lynch's version. Bright Fraser's cinematography is truly a feast for the eyes, aided by a desolated yet captivating coloring. Rest assured that the sky is never blue, which is something that the last promotional poster seemed to suggest. On the other hand, what the film just borrowed from the never-made Jodorowsky version is some of the production design elements, especially for the Harkonnens. So yeah. But now overall, the few reasons why I wouldn't consider this among the ranks of Zack Snyder's Justice League or Mitchell's vs. the Machines or Quiet Place Part 2 is because it did feel like just a setup of a story more than once. Way more than once. And there are some pacing issues here and there, and finally this movie will lose 80% of its visual side when watched at home, in my opinion, so this is a real movie theater going experience. So this definitely deserves to be seen in theaters. Please, I know it's streaming on HBO Max as well, but please go see this in cinemas. Please go support this movie so that we can still have Part 2, we can still have the sequels Villeneuve wants to make. Even though Warner Bros. Has assured Villeneuve that the sequels will happen if it performs well on HBO Max. But still go support this movie. It deserves it. Regardless if you've seen read or books or not, it still deserves support. At the end, I liked it very much, and I would like to see Part 2. Fingers crossed, so it better happen. But anyway, that's it for my review of Dune, and here's how I'm going to rank it.
I am going to give Dune a 9 out of 10.
Alright, and that's pretty much it for my review of Dune. And that pretty much wraps up all the October blockbusters. It was a rough patch trying to get to these, to be able to see these, but finally did it. The October blockbusters are finally done. The Howling Horror Movie Review Series is not done yet, but the October blockbusters and new releases are finally all out of the way. Whew. So yeah. Next week will be full-on Halloween horror movie reviews all week because this will be the final week of it. And tomorrow we'll be back to Halloween horror movie reviews. But until then, that'll be it for this review. Thank you all for watching. If you like this and want to see more, don't forget to like, subscribe to Movie Lover 120.